Where the number is damaged, the property owner shall have the responsibility to replace it within 30 days. Then in the case of damage to road signs, an obligation has been placed on the councils to replace the road signage within 90 days. Then we also recognize that property owners will have tenants in their properties, and an obligation has been placed on the property owners to provide details of their tenants that on their property to the city councils within 30 days of the tenant occupying the property. So whenever there is even a change in the tenancy, the obligation will again be on the property owner to notify the council under which this property falls under. Then looking at the regulatory sandboxes, basically regulatory sandboxes, we're looking at a process of providing a controlled environment for the research and development of innovative communication services and technologies. We recognize that technology is moving at a very fast pace, and sometimes regulation may lag behind. So in order to address this, we are proposing to have what we call regulatory sandboxes. So these regulatory sandboxes provide an environment where we allow these new services or new technologies to be tested with minimal or little regulation. So under this framework, if we have got a new service or new technology, the authority may exempt the service provider that will be operating within the sandbox from certain conditions that normally apply to the mainframe licensees. So issues like maybe licensing, we can say that instead of you being licensed, just an authorization for you to operate will suffice. Payment of license fees may be exempt. Quality of service standards requirements may also be exempt where necessary. All this to promote research, innovation, and development. Then coming to the Universal Service Fund, the proposed bill is attempting to provide clarity in terms of the management of the Universal Service Fund. Currently, the Universal Service Fund is managed by MACRA as per the Communications Act. However, we are proposing that the management of the fund moves from MACRA to the Universal Service Fund Committee. I'm sure that you are familiar with the Universal Service Fund Committee. It's a committee that comprises of industry representatives, MACRA, and from the Ministry of Information. So we are saying that the management of the fund will move from MACRA to this committee, and in that regard, the powers of the committee are being enhanced. The committee will have the power to adopt and approve the plans or USF plans submitted to it by MACRA, and it will ensure that there is accountability on the part of the committee. Where the committee does not agree with the plans that MACRA has submitted, it must provide reasons why it does not agree, and the MACRA has to amend the proposals. Coming to research and innovation, we are proposing to have a research and innovation fund that will be managed by MACRA, and the fund will be used to promote research, development, and innovation in communication services. We are looking at funding innovators to provide local solutions for local problems. And we'll have what will be called an advisory committee for this fund that will provide guide us in terms of the implementation of the fund. And in terms of composition, we are looking at the representatives from institutions of higher learning, a representative from the business organizations engaged in communication services, a representative from public bodies, a representative from research and innovation institutions, a representative from information and communication technologies practitioners. Then we're also looking at the Registrar General, because the Registrar General is responsible for registering businesses. Then it also looks at registering intellectual property like patents, trademarks, and the like. So they are also a relevant stakeholder in this. Then MACRA itself, through the Director General or his representative. Financing of the fund, we're looking at the MACRA making funds available to the fund. Then also at levies that have been prescribed in the operators' licenses. Money appropriated by Parliament to the fund. Then the fund also have the capacity to receive grants, subsidies, donations, gifts from government or any other person. So in a nutshell, those are the proposals that are being made to the Communications Act. And some may ask, for broadcasters, what is our concern in the proposed amendments? As I said, satellite communication services, broadcasters have got an interest in this. You may use satellite services to provide your services. Then in research and innovation, we are having new ways of delivering content. Broadcasters should be interested in this particular issue as well. Then the issue of local ownership. This one directly affects you in the sense that we are saying that free-to-air broadcasters, the ownership in them for foreigners will be limited to 20%. Then the national addressing system, we're looking at simplifying the addressing framework for our country and looking at how this will input into e-commerce, delivery of utility services, parcel deliveries, and the potential for advertisers to precisely input or provide their addresses or where their business are located. Then the clarifying on the Universal Service Fund, which also broadcasters have got an interest. So these are just some of the issues that may or do have an effect on new players in the broadcasting industry. As I said, this bill has been floated and we received comments. As we speak now, there is a team, a task force that is meeting this week. In fact, it has started its work today, that is reviewing the stakeholder comments, and it will be providing its responses soon. We are not only looking at reviewing the Communications Act, we are also looking at developing our digital legal framework. So we are also reviewing the Electronic Transaction Cybersecurity Act to provide a comprehensive legal framework for the digital sphere. Maybe just an update on the Data Protection Act. This one was passed by Parliament. As we speak now, we are just waiting for the presidential assent. Then we'll proceed with the implementation of the Data Protection Act. And in that legislation, MACRA has been designated as the Data Protection Authority. Then, coming to the review of the Electronic Transaction Cyber Security Act, we are proposing to break it up and have separate legislation. We have a separate law just on focusing on electronic transactions and e-commerce. Then we have a separate legislation focusing on cyber security, that is protecting our cyber infrastructure. So we have developed, the same task force that I was talking about has developed the Cyber Security Bill, which again is undergoing stakeholder consultation. Then we have also developed the Cyber Crimes Bill, which is criminalizing offenses relating to computer systems and ICTs, investigation procedures, collection and preservation of electronic evidence, and also recognizing that issues of cyber security, cyber criminality know no borders. So we are providing for international cooperation because you cannot deal with these issues as a country in isolation. You need the cooperation of the global community. So this Cyber Crimes Bill is attempting to address all that. Thank you so much. Comments or questions? We are invited at this juncture.
Just allow me to just speak through these incoming developments, specifically to you broadcasters. The need for public awareness on these new laws is very, very high. The reason why we're saying this is that you can see here that the issues of cyber security, cyber crimes, and certain things that are more digital. And we've just been introduced into this digital world without really fully understanding where the lines are drawn. This issue of data protection and how what you can share and what you can say or you can push about other people on digital surfaces. You may be aware that it's only politicians that have really exploited that electronic transaction, the current Electronic Transaction and Cyber Security Act. When people say things about a politician online and they go to the police and the police arrest someone, certain quarters are saying, is this law just for politicians? No, the law is for everyone. But the issue that has been there has been lack of awareness. So we are coming up with these there are 7 new laws that we're targeting in the next 12 months to get out. Having a law is one side of the equation, but having the people understand that there is a piece of law and this is what the piece of law is saying and this is why it is there, that is the second part of the equation. And we would want to forge a closer relationship with you broadcasters so that we can find a way in which we should take these messages about these new laws to the people. We are going towards a very sensitive and hot period, 2025. This country will go through elections, this country will go through campaign period, and this country will see a whole lot use of social media in campaign that we've never seen before. And we need to start protecting our people and we need to start protecting our space. And this is why we would like to have these out to the people. Therefore, I'm putting this to you, broadcasters, that if you have ideas on how you can help us to get this message to the people, come talk to us. Now here is free business to all of you radio and TV players. Come and make some money, help us to get this message out to the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DJ, for those very pertinent remarks. As I said, the floor is now open for comments, questions, and reactions. Thank you so much.
we have questions or yeah? Yes. Is it possible that we take maybe 4, and then we close the session, and then if you have other issues, and you can speak to Dan later, because we have another program at 6 o'clock. Yeah, we'll start at the back. Get the microphone.
Thank you very much for the update. My question is regarding the proposed amendment to the Communication Act. I might have missed something when the usual consultation with stakeholders might have been communicated. These are legal issues and normally read through legal minds. I don't know whether it is too late for us to get involved to put in some comments. Looking at the introduction of satellite regulations, for example, Research and Innovation Fund, and the other proposed changes. Are we within the time framework where we can consult some legal minds to be able to read these issues so that we are all properly read and we can put our comments? Thank you.
There's a hand at the back.
Thanks, Dan, for the wonderful presentation. I guess mine would be considered as one question split into 4. The first one regarding the task force. Maybe if you can just advise us in terms of how many people are in this task force and how many are representing the sectors under your jurisdiction, this being broadcasting, telecoms, and postal. And one would be interested to know how the representative for the broadcasters was selected, if at all he is there. If not, why not? I'm asking this question because whenever the legislation has been revised previously, licensees had representatives in the task force, and we expected that the same would apply in this case. The second question is with respect to the roadmap. Thanks, you've updated us that the task team is meeting now, but I'm not sure in terms of your planning, what are your timelines? I just wanted to understand the processes that are within your powers or within the task team powers, because I know the other processes may be beyond you, but those that are within your purview. The other question is with respect to satellite services. Just for clarity, assuming a content service provider is the only one who is using a specific satellite, so that satellite will be required to have, the satellite service provider that is, will be required to have a license. And assuming the downlink spectrum also requires licensing, that will be a second license for the satellite service provider. And for the broadcaster now in country, he will be required to have a content license. And also assuming he wants to do the transmission on his own, he will also be required to have some spectrum license. So this is one content service provider effectively shouldering 4 licenses, which is kind of a burden to the content service providers. I'm not sure whether you did look into the implication of this and how you would want to ensure that there are no heavy costs stemming from regulation that may stifle service provisioning by content service providers, as we are all aiming at ensuring that we flourish the sector and reduce cost of service provisioning as far as possible. The last one, in relation to the same satellite service providers, satellite service provision licenses. So you are talking of having satellite licenses and also landing rights authorization. Can you provide a clear distinction between these two so that we understand who will be responsible for what? Either a satellite service license or a satellite service landing rights authorization. Thank you.
Mr. Johnny, do you want to take those questions?
I was asking if there are any additional questions, so we... Okay.
Do we have another question, or should we? I guess you continue, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments and questions. I think I'll start with the comment from Mr. Chikaja. In terms of the consultation process, we did circulate the draft to operators. It was done by email, inviting for comments. We did receive comments from several players or several operators, and these are the comments that we are considering now. In terms of whether the process is closed now or not, I can say that the window, although not shut, is nearly closing. So if you are to submit any additional comments, please do so as quickly as possible. I think this ties in with a question from Mr. Chibwana on the roadmap. On our end, the target is to have these legislation enacted by June 2024. For us, for processes that are within our control, by March 2024, we shall be done with all the processes, the consultation processes, coming up with the final draft bills, and then submitting them to the relevant authorities to proceed. So we shall be done by I don't have the exact dates, but by March 2024, we shall be done with everything in this regard. In terms of representation from in the task force, we did not go by sector representation. Our focus was to develop a bill which will then submit to our stakeholders for their comments, like you are doing now. So in terms of representation, we say that this one is coming from the telecom sector, this one is coming from the broadcasting sector, and this one is coming from the postal sector. That wasn't the criteria. In terms of the numbers, we looked at not necessarily an actual figure, but institutions. So we have got the Malo Society coming in, Law Commission coming in, private lawyers coming in, and the Ministry of Information. And having coming up with the bill, That's the draft bill. Of course, it's not a bill. If you talk to Minister of Justice, they say that it's not a bill, it's just a draft. And coming up with the draft, the next stage is to engage you as our stakeholders, for you to provide the input, which will consolidate, then come up with a final product, which will also be communicated to you. Then I think on the difference between landing rights and, or if I may say, main content service license or satellite service license. So the landing rights authorization or license is focusing on the satellite provider, the one who owns the satellite. Okay, so it may be a Etisalat and the like. That will just provide their beam to Malawi. So we're saying that for those to land that signal in Malawi, they must have a landing rights license. And for licensees to be able to tap into that technology or services, they must ensure that their service provider has got a landing rights here in Malawi. Then, so that's the main difference with the satellite service license. So for the satellite service, for the main content service license, we're looking at the person who's providing the actual communication service through the satellite. So that's the main differentiation. Then coming, I think, to the issue of burdening the operator. I think the technical people can come in, but I did not see it in that regard. As I said, there's a separation between the landing rights authorization and the main service license. In terms of spectrum, I'm thinking that it will be the satellite service provider that will be responsible for that. Now, if you have got an uplink and you're using spectrum, that's your choice, and I think you have to be licensed accordingly, including the spectrum licenses, which will be required in that regard. Then for the broadcasting country, as I said, it will have the main service license or the satellite service license. So in terms of burdening the operator, I don't think we are introducing anything which is very new, but maybe just the categorization and the putting things in a proper framework. Thank you so much.
I think we should end there. Not so? Yeah. My presenters are talking about mama wampa kanthaizo tenda umbeni manja chita bwino kwambiri. Sabano zinthu wa majealous. Kuomba kwa ingoti tenda umbeni manja chita bwino kwambiri. Thank you very much. Just a few announcements. TV content providers are asked to remain. My managers, their representatives. I announced that at 6 o'clock we have a cocktail in the main foyer, so you should get your wristband. Without a wristband, there will be no entry. So you can get them from Tileke. Tileke will be at the back. Komanso, my logistics, we will not end up on Jititani Mumfuseso Tileke Mayo. Chotsriza nchakutimawa tiyamba conference yatu kuno at 8:30, so let's be here in time. Chotsriza kwen. We have tea. So tea abine yatuthandiza kuti tikonze bwino matumba kuti mazulo 6 koloko cocktail yende bwino. So we have tea there. You can grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And my presenters, engage pangono, you can talk to them. Otherwise, this marks the end of our session today. Thank you very much for being a very active audience. Tikumane Somawa at 8:30. Taiwara go china kaben? Zach? Yeah, thank you very much. Mwakana wa kamba kalikali sima apate money. Just mwapate money, and then let's get a wristband and grab a cup of tea, and then. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, yeah, Pastor. give us a prayer and benediction. So I've chosen you, sir. Thank you very much, Pastor. Tikhoza umasuka.
I love so many things about the city. That is where I come from. I am a citizen there. The beautiful people and dusty roads, the beauty of green in the sun. I can't wait to get there. Take a drive in the city. Oh, 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 I'm coming. Oh, I'm coming. Lilongwe, I'm a few hours away. Lilongwe, I'm coming home to stay. Lilongwe, I'm a few hours away. Lilongwe, I'm coming home to stay.